one thing that inspires me, that influences me and encourages me, and makes me want to bring magic into every part of my life, that makes me realize how important it is to do so, was another quote by the magician Aleister Crowley. He once told one of his students, "Inflame thyself with prayer. Burn with it. Set yourself on fire with it." Not something you do occasionally or casually whenever you need something, but every single moment of every single day you should be doing magic. No matter what you're getting ready to do, take a second to just inhale and see one of these archangels expanding before you. For example, say you're getting ready to go to work in the morning. Before you get in your car, take a moment to inhale and see the Archangel Michael expand, standing next to your car. And say, "Michael, Archangel of the South, of fire, of courage, of bravery, I ask that you protect me and keep me safe on my trip to work." And then start your car and drive to work. Once you're at work, do the same thing. When you're sitting at your desk, take a moment to inhale and see the Archangel Raphael expand before you. Say, "Raphael, Archangel of the East, of the intellect, I ask that you bless me and favor me so that I can do my work to the best of my ability this day." We can do this in every single aspect of our life. We can make magic part of our every breath, part of our existence. If we do this, not only will the magic be your teacher, not only will it be your guide, but the more you do these practices, the more attention and the more energy that you feed to magic, the more it's going to become deeply interwoven into the very fabric of your existence. Your life will start to become a dance with magic. You know, magic is one of those things. It speaks to us. It communicates with us. It talks to us. But we have to be open to seeing it, to hearing it. You know, a lot of times when we think of magic speaking to us, or when we think of something like hearing the voice of God reveal something to us, we always think in these giant, grand terms. There's going to be lightning bolts striking, and the clouds are going to part, and a voice is going to come down from heaven. And that's usually not the way it's going to work. Don't get me wrong, it can. I've heard stories. But for the most part, magic is like that tiny little voice deep in your heart, deep in your consciousness, deep in your soul, that lets you know when you're doing the right thing and lets you know when you're doing the wrong thing. It's a tiny, still voice that speaks to you from somewhere inside. Every so often, when you're wanting something to come to pass, when you're doing magic to manifest something, to shape your life, to get rid of something that served its purpose, you want to watch for little signs. Watch for what the magic is trying to tell you about this situation. It could be that little small voice speaking to you from inside, or it could be a symbol on the outside world. It could be a particular bird flying overhead that means something to you personally, something that is symbolic for a particular kind of energy. You'll know that's your answer. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I move? Should I stay? Should I switch jobs? Should I enter into this new relationship? Should I distance myself from members of my family that aren't being particularly supportive? Whatever it is that you're wondering about, Magick will speak to you about that thing. If you want to enhance that, evoke an angel. Ask that the angel send you a message. Ask it to send you a sign. If you're uncomfortable with the angel doing it, ask Magick itself. Whatever you ask Magick for, it's going to deliver on. You just have to make certain that you're in a state of consciousness where you're able to receive it, able to understand it. So look around you for signs. Maybe you find a card laying on the ground on the way to work. Maybe a butterfly flies in your car window. Maybe a complete stranger says something to you that hits you in a particular way, and you know, this is Magick speaking to me. It's speaking to me through this person. It's speaking to me through this symbol. Whatever it is, Magick will speak to you. You just have to learn to listen. When I say you can use other intelligences, other forms of energy, there's another technique that I use that I like to think of as urban shamanism. You know, when we think of shamanism, we think of more primitive cultures. And by primitive, I don't mean more simple or uneducated. I mean original. Native American tribes, African tribes. These are the people that we think of when we think of shamanism. And for some reason in society, we've had this belief handed to us that rural places, wooded areas, forests, whatever, things outside the city are somehow more sacred or more holy than more urban environments. Nothing could be further from the truth. Everything that exists is made of the same divine substance. Therefore, everything that exists has an intelligence and a spirit, call it an angel if you want to, attached to it. And if we interact with those things as if there's an intelligence behind them, they then begin to interact with us as if there's an intelligence behind them. We can use this technique to evoke the intelligences behind things that may never cross our mind otherwise. For example, for me, living in New York City, the spirit of coyote doesn't mean very much to me. A mountain lion, I don't think that's going to do me much good. So what I started to communicate with was the spirit of the A train. The spirits, the angels of the streets, of the avenues, of the stores, of the city itself. You know, we knew this in ancient Greece when there was a particular god said to look over each city, and then a smaller, sort of homebound god that looked over the family and the house where the family lived. And they would leave offerings for these. They would burn candles, burn incense, leave little gifts for them. I do the exact same thing on the streets of New York. Not only for New York as a whole, but the neighborhoods of New York. For example, I live in Harlem. So sometimes before I go out, I will do a short evocation for the intelligence, the angel, whatever you want to call it, that presides over the neighborhood of Harlem. And I ask it to favor me, to look over me, to exchange energy and information with me, to make me part of the fabric of this neighborhood, to allow me to keep growing and progressing as a person. And that's what it does. I evoke the spirits of the particular subways that I ride and ask them, watch out for me. Make sure I get a seat. Make sure some hobo doesn't piss on me. I may burn a candle to the A train or the C train. I may leave coins along the platform as an offering. But I address it as if it's just as alive and aware and sentient as I myself am, and it responds in the same way. I have never, ever had this technique fail me in any way. Everything is divine. Nothing is any less sacred or any less holy than anything else. The key to all of these energies is balance. I don't think water is necessarily any more holy than whiskey, but you probably don't want to chug a glass of whiskey after you go for a morning run. It's all about balance, seeing what sort of energy is required in every particular situation that you're in, and applying that energy. Someone recently asked me, where is love in magic? What role does love play in magic? And the answer to that is, magic is love. Whenever you are inhaling and pulling in that divine light, you are literally pulling in love. We call it all sorts of names. We may call it the divine substance. I've even heard it called formless fire. But it is the actual presence of divinity that you're pulling into your body, that you're shaping, that you're asking to manifest things in the world, to fulfill purposes. The reason that we may not necessarily see it as love in the beginning is because we've been taught our whole lives that love is a specific thing. Love is a specific way of being. Love is a specific action. And that's simply not true. Normally, what people think of as love, in actuality, is just attachment. It's emotional attachment. It's mental attachment. And we can tell this because we know. We've always known, somewhere in the core of our being, we know that true love is unconditional. That it doesn't matter what the other person or what the recipient of that love, how bad they go wrong, how bad they go off the rails, how much they screw up, that love is still there. Well, that's not attachment. We know that oftentimes when another person disappoints us, it wounds what we think of as our love for them. Well, the reason for that is because it's not really love. It's not the love that's being wounded. It's our attachment to that person. It's our attachment to whatever hole that person fills in our lives. It's of utmost importance that we be able to distinguish attachment from love. When you are sending thought forms to people, say you have a friend that needs healing, so you begin sending thought forms of healing to this friend, what you are sending them is love. That thought form is a tiny piece of the divine spark that you have sent to this person in order to make them whole, in order to make them happy. That's why magic can never truly be a dark or scary thing. Because at the very bottom of magic, at its very foundation, the very core of what magic is living in harmony with love, using love, and manifesting love. And I feel good about that. As I've been recording these sessions, I've been thousands of miles from home. Kind of a stranger in a strange land. I've missed my feline companions. I've missed all of my routines. Life on the road has a way of draining you. And that's kind of what I was feeling this morning until I opened the curtains of my room and saw big, beautiful flakes of snow falling from the sky. There was a snowstorm happening that made me feel like I was standing in a snow globe. Keep in mind that this is at the end of May, and that back in New York City, where I live, the temperature is already somewhere around 95 degrees. When I saw that snow, my heart flooded with gratitude, and I felt as if I were going to start crying. Ever since I was a child, the thing that I think I loved most, the time that I loved most in the world, is the holiday season, Christmas time. No matter where I am, that time of year makes me feel like I've come home. Like I'm in that season, in that time of the year when magic is at its most incredibly powerful. It felt as if what I was seeing outside my window was a gift from the magic itself. And I realized in that moment, I had an epiphany that as we come to the end of these sessions, this is the fulfillment of my greatest childhood dream. Thank you. Thank you for coming with me on this journey, for wanting to learn about these things, to know about these things, for wanting to do this practice with me. If we do this, not only will the magic be your teacher, not only will it be your guide, but the more you do these practices, the more attention and the more energy that you feed to magic, the more it's going to become deeply interwoven into the very fabric of your existence. Your life will start to become a dance with magic. Magic will begin to help you, comfort you, bring you what you need, even before you ask it to, or before you command it to. When I was growing up, to me the thought of being able to share magic with people, of being able to do a book on magic, offer a course on magic, to me that was the height of everything I could have hoped for. And now here it is, come to fruition. It has been a very long, arduous journey, my life as a whole leading up to this. But it's also been incredibly beautiful, and the magic has been with me every step of the way, just as it will for you. Thank you, and I hope the magic brings you everything that you thought it would.